Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unexplained Archives, the place where you can come and get your weekly dose of spooky. I am one of your hosts, Jen.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
How's it going, Jamie?
Good.
Good.
The other host. I forgot to say that part.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's okay. I think they figured it out. I think
Yeah.
Yeah. It's both of us. We're both your hosts.
Mm-hmm.
So how's it going? Have you had
It's
any?
going okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's been a tough couple of weeks, but
Yeah, things are starting to kind of settle down a little bit on my end. Kind of back to work, back in the grind.
Yeah.
Got to take a little road trip up Route 66 yesterday, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm watching a dog, so I said it's just a girl and her borrowed dog heading down Route 66. It was fun.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
It was fun.
Great.
We had a good time.
Good.
But I've been doing the ride share too, and I had to say that I was listening. I always listen to our podcast in the car. I like to, when it first comes out on Tuesdays, I always like to kind of be one of the first ones to hear it through the car speakers and all that.
Yeah.
So I was listening to it, and we were talking about doppelgangers from last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a passenger that kept kind of making little comments, like, ooh, makes you think, and ooh, just kind of into the podcast. And then out of the blue, he was like, do you have sleep paralysis? Do you get sleep paralysis? I'm like, yeah, I have, many times. Yeah. He's like, I can tell. I'm like, what do you mean? You can tell. You can tell. What does that mean? Like, he sees the back of my head. What is he talking about?
Right. What
I can tell.
Head giving away here?
Yeah. What is the back of my head saying about me? And so I was like, okay. And he's like, what about astral projection? Have you ever experienced that? And I'm like, well, yeah. So I kind of told him about my story about when I was in high school and the gym, and looking down and seeing myself talking to my friends on the basketball court. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and then he said, have you ever seen the man in the hat? And I was like, yeah. And then he said, have you ever seen the kid with the old typewriter? And that's where he lost me. I said, no. Do you know that
I
story?
have never heard this.
No, me either. And I meant to look it up before this week, but
I thought I was
with
proficient
a typewriter
in the Hat Man sleep paralysis information. And this is something new to me. A boy with a typewriter.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to look into that. If any of our listeners knows this, let us know. But
I think I know what a future show from Jamie is going to be.
Yeah.
About the boy and his typewriter.
Yeah. Yeah. But so I finally said, hey, this is, or he said, do you listen to this kind of thing a lot? And I said, well, yeah, there's actually my podcast with my friend Jen. And, I pointed him to where to find us. And and finally he was like, oh, okay, I can hear the voice. Yeah. Then he was like, I would love to talk more about this. He said, I explore the metaphysical. I've been looking into it for many, many years, and I feel like we could have a lot to talk about. And so he ended up leaving his number, and he said, I'll be in touch. And then I never heard from him. But when he was getting out of the car, he said, I feel like these things, there's no coincidences or something, to that effect. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but I haven't heard anything. So maybe we will hear from this mystery metaphysical person.
I would be interested to hear what he has to say. And maybe he has more info on the boy with the typewriter too.
Yeah. I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into it. I meant to do it before the show, so I dropped the ball on that one.
Nah, that's okay. That's all right. We'll get it figured out. We'll figure out what this boy does. What is he typing? Is he writing a book in your dreams? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
How old he is.
Yeah. Let's find out.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted. Next week, we'll update on the boy with the typewriter.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I would be super interested. But okay. Well, that's very cool. And I have to believe that. I don't know if there's such things as coincidences. I think
Mm.
sometimes things happen and people meet for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So we'll see. I don't
yeah.
know.
Look at Jamie and I. We met for a reason. Not only are we
Yeah.
friends, but we get to talk about this kind of thing every week,
I
which is
know.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Great.
Yeah. Well, how about you? How's it
Yeah.
going?
It's going okay. We are trying to fight off illness over here.
Yeah.
Literally everyone is sick, including one of the dogs.
Ah,
Yeah, poor Goliath.
I
He's
know.
struggling. That's what I did for the show today. I just made doctor's appointments for everyone. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're
Poor
gonna
guy.
work.
I felt so bad. I wish I was closer. I was like, I would totally go and be Nurse Jamie.
Right, I know, I
But
know.
yeah.
Hard. But yeah, poor Goliath.
Oh,
He's an old guy. He's like
I know.
13, so it makes it even tougher. When he
Yeah.
gets sick, it just
He's
really
the
takes out of him.
sweetest dog.
He
He's so
really is.
sweet.
Yeah,
Yes.
he lives up to his name. He's a big dog, and if you follow us on Instagram, it's not that dog. We did make that post because I had compared my dog
Oh,
Roscoe
yeah. That's right.
to the dog critter Gargoyle from Ghostbusters.
That's right. Different dog.
This is a
Different
different
dog.
dog. I've got two dogs, Roscoe and Goliath, and it's poor Goliath that's sick. But yeah, Goliath is 13. He is half Great Dane, half Lab. He was a rescue dog. My daughter she wanted a dog so bad, and I did not want a dog. I'm an animal lover, but I just didn't think we were dog people. We had always had cats. Okay,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot. It's like having a whole other child,
it
really,
is.
having
Yeah,
a
it
dog.
is. Yep.
And so they had a pet. It was called like the Pet Emporium, like out at the fairgrounds.
Oh,
It was all these
yeah.
different shelters, and they brought all these dogs. And I said, "Let's just go. We'll go look. We'll go look." Well, I'm the one who spotted Goliath, and he was
Mm-hmm.
literally the largest puppy there.
Aw.
I was
He's so
just
cute. He's
drawn
got
to
those
him.
long legs.
Yes, he is huge. He's huge, and he grew even more. He was a year old when we got him, and it was from a private shelter not too far
Aw.
from where we lived. And so the man who had that shelter, he would go around to kill shelters and try and get as many dogs as he could from those shelters and bring them to his shelter, which is a non-kill shelter. And,
Yeah.
and so that wonderful work that they do there.
Yes.
So yeah, so we ended up with Goliath. And then a couple years later, we ended up with Roscoe. So we've
Yep.
got plus all our cats. We got a full house.
Yeah, you do have a full house.
We do. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. I'm a sucker. But I'm an animal lover, and I'm always trying to find people to, I'm always trying to connect people with animals too. So
Uh-huh.
the other shelter animals, like I'm always trying to like post on social media about them. Like, and I've done it before. I've actually had a couple people adopt some animals that I
That's
had.
great.
So it's good. Yes.
You're
So
doing good work, Jen.
I'm trying because it's so hard. I want to rescue them all. My dream one day is to have my very own animal shelter. I would just love that.
Oh,
Be
you would be great at that.
I
You
would
would.
love that.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a goal of mine. And so, yeah. But in the meantime, I just have a miniature animal shelter here.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I hope Goliath is okay, and
Yes.
let us know.
Yes.
Let me know how he does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do. Hopefully he'll get better. But we're gonna head to the vet and see what the heck is going on. But yeah, that's been our week. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
next week will be better. But for now, we do have a spooky story for the week.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. I think it's a good one. It's a story I had heard of. I didn't necessarily plan on doing anything quite like this now. I had seen recently a documentary on the case, and I thought, man, there's more to this than I had originally known, and I thought it'd be very cool to do some research and talk some more about it. So this week we are talking about the Enfield Haunting, or the Enfield Poltergeist. It's known as both. A lot of you out there might know it as the case that inspired The Conjuring 2.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I enjoyed that movie.
I did too. I liked 1 and 2.
I did too. Yes.
Yeah.
3 here's my situation with 3. As I was familiar with that case that they covered, I can't even remember what it was called. The Devil Made Me Do It. Was that what they called 3? I'm trying to
Sounds
remember.
right. I'll have to look it up. I'm
Okay.
bad. I'm so bad with official names.
Right,
So,
right. So
yeah.
what I struggled with that film is the fact that I felt like they missed maybe the most interesting part of that case, which was the young boy who had been possessed, or
Right.
uh, apparently had been possessed. I feel like they skipped right over that and went right to the young boy's sister's boyfriend, who ended up apparently
Yeah.
taking on the
Right.
possession. And I kind of feel like they missed a whole bunch of stuff, which is fascinating. But that case reminds me a little bit of the one we're going to talk about today, about possible possession, and is it real? Is it a hoax? Children in general, is this something that they would take to a whole other level and create a hoax? Um,
Right.
so I figure we can talk about it and see what people think about this. I
Yeah.
definitely have some opinions on it. But if you're not familiar, the Enfield Haunting took place in Enfield, London, which Enfield is like, I want to say, a north part of London. So it's just a section of London. It took place between 1977 and 1979. The Hodgson family, they lived on 284 Green Street. It's a council house, and I wasn't quite sure what that meant, because that's not
No.
a term we really use here in America. But it's actually like a form of public housing, for low income families. So, we have that
Gotcha.
here too, but they refer
Yeah.
to it council house. The family, they did not have a lot of money. It was just a single mom, Peggy Hodgson. She had 4 kids. She was recently divorced, so it was just her and the children. She had Margaret, who was 13 at the time, Janet, who was 11, Johnny, who was 10, and Billy, who was 8. At the time that this all happened, Johnny was not really living at home. He was actually living at a home for troubled children. I tried to find out what all that meant. I don't know what exactly was going on with Johnny at the time,
Right.
but it seemed like maybe there was some trouble that it might have been tough for Peggy to do on her own. So,
Right.
so he was staying in more of a children's home at the time.
And he was only 10 years old, right?
Yeah, he was just
Yeah.
10, so that's really
Yeah. It's
tough.
such a
So
so little.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's really really hard. So I don't quite know what went on there or what they were dealing with, but um, I'm sure that
Sounds
was
like a lot. She had her
oh
hands full for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the hard thing. And Peggy was trying to work, and be a single parent. Jamie and I both done that.
Yes,
It is incredibly difficult.
it
And
is. Yeah.
and Jamie had 3. With my kids, it's different. My kids almost were raised as only children for the most part. My kids are
Right.
15 years apart. I took a 15-year break.
Yeah, that is a big break. Mine are just 5 years apart, but even that, is a
Yeah,
lot. But 15
it can
years,
be.
that is
Yeah,
two different lifetimes almost,
it is.
It's
They're
just
completely
yeah.
different generations,
Yes.
which is interesting. And so, yeah, now I've had both kids in the house at the same time. They understand what
Right.
it's like to be siblings, but I've
Yes.
just had the 2. So I'm trying to imagine, having 4 kids and you're on your own and you're low income.
Yeah.
That's incredibly
It's
difficult.
tough. Yeah.
So unfortunately for the poor family, on top of everything, they have to deal with what we're about to talk about. It all kind of began August 30th, 1977. Janet had actually told her mother that she saw her brother Billy's bed like wobbling on its own,
Okay.
having
They
movement.
love to wobble beds.
They do like to wobble the beds. I don't. They like to do it when you're in the bed, when you're
Yep.
not in the bed. They like
Yep.
to wobble. I don't get it, but hey,
Yeah.
each their own, right?
Yeah.
So, Peggy, of course, blew it off as like, some parents might like, it could be anything, right? Making the bed move. Well, the following night, Peggy could hear loud noises going on upstairs. This was after the kids had gone to bed. She shouts out to the kids, go to sleep. And the kids yelled back down that it wasn't them making the noise.
Yeah.
And so she went upstairs to check out what was going on, and she saw for herself with her own eyes. It was a very large chest of drawers completely moving on its own and towards the door.
Oh man.
So that would definitely cause quite a racket.
Yeah.
So
Chest of drawers are not easy to move.
no, no, I can't do that on my own. So the fact that they have one
Yeah.
that's doing it on their own is really, yeah,
Right.
that would be incredibly shocking.
Yes.
So the situation happens, and then shortly after that, knocking begins to happen in the house. So they're getting knocking on the walls, they're getting knocking on the ceiling, you know, 1 2 1 2 3, knock 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 everywhere.
Hmm.
So this has become a problem. Clearly something is going on. They're having trouble trying to explain what's happening. Peggy actually asks the neighbors who live next door, and they are Vic and Peggy Nottingham. She asks them if they can come over and take a look and figure out what is going on. So sure enough, they come and take a look, and they themselves hear the knocking. And it got to the point where Vic actually got scared. He kind of took off. He went in there, and he was couldn't understand why there was so much of it, and it was like on the ceiling too.
Yeah.
So he said, "Feet don't fail me now," and he got on out of there. So
I
you know
don't
what?
blame him.
No, I don't either.
I don't
I
blame
mean,
him.
what do you do? And so when you have these types of situations, it's like who can you call? Who can you have come and help? So out of desperation, Peggy calls the police. She
Yeah.
has them come over and check out the what could be possibly causing all the racket and things moving. Now, there was
Right.
a police woman, her name was Carolyn Heaps. She actually signed an affidavit saying that she witnessed an armchair in the house levitate. It actually came up off the floor about a half an inch and then moved 4 feet across the floor.
Wow.
So it went up and over. Yeah.
Okay, that's so creepy.
Yeah. I mean, so these are police officers.
Right.
They're coming over to see something, find out what's going on. How do you explain an armchair moving on its own, floating on its own?
Right.
What do you do? Unfortunately, the police aren't able to help. And although there was one as a witness to this chair levitation, they determined it's not really a police matter because no one is breaking the law.
I
So
mean,
it's like
they're right. I mean,
they're correct.
it's
I mean,
not really a police matter. And I don't think if
right.
I was a police officer, I'd want to take on a levitating chair or poltergeist. So
Yeah,
I get it that they're passing it on to
yeah, it's hard.
someone else.
What do? You can't arrest a ghost for
Yeah,
trying to,
exactly.
to
Yeah.
move things. So when the police couldn't help, Peggy decided she was going to turn to the press. The word got out about all the events that were happening in the
Yeah.
house. And so a member of the Society for Psychical Research, Morris Gross, he actually reached out to the family to see if he could help. So I know this kind of a controversial turn to be like, okay, well, the police can't help me. I'm not sure where to go. I guess I'll contact the press to
Right.
see, and I think it could be where the skepticism began. Why are you calling the
Is she
newspaper?
doing it for attention? Like yeah,
Sure,
I get
sure.
it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
skeptics were probably very much like, why would you do that?
Right.
However, I do think it might have been one of the best things she could have done because Morris Gross was really a huge player in this situation. Now, if you've seen The Conjuring 2,
Hmm.
it really focuses on the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Right.
We've talked about them a little bit here on the show. They are the ones who have Annabelle the doll that is
Yep.
now doing her Annabelle thing out there on
Yeah.
the road, right?
Right.
There's been a lot of controversy behind the Warrens recently.
Uh-huh.
A lot of stories coming out. People are not really sure if they were really on the up and up or not.
Right.
I've heard both. But The Conjuring 2, I mean, obviously the Conjuring series is really revolved around the Warrens and some of the cases that they worked on, some of the famous cases, the Perrons, the Amityville house, things like that.
Yeah.
So that particular movie made it kind of look like the Warrens were the ones who kind of came in and did a lot of the investigating and left, when in actuality, that wasn't so.
Yeah.
It was Morris Gross. He was with the family, I would say, pretty much the duration of this time. So tell you a little bit about Morris Gross. He was born March 6, 1919, and he grew up in London as well. He ended up serving in World War II with the Royal Artillery and was among those that was evacuated from Dunkirk in 1940, which I found completely fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. He eventually got married and he had 3 children of his own. He actually started out as an inventor. He had lots of patents, and we are probably using some Morris gross items to this day.
That's
Uh,
really cool.
isn't it something? I wanted to talk about this because it's like, how do you go from this, military man to investigating the paranormal?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's a leap.
it is a big jump. And in between, you were an inventor. Like,
Yeah.
that's
He's an
fascinating.
interesting, yeah, he's an
He's
interesting guy.
He is. He is. And so one of his most notable inventions is actually the rotating advertising billboard, and
Ah,
kind of the ones that go upward. Like you've got an
okay.
advertisement and then it swaps and you
Yeah,
see the next one.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
you see him
he's
at.
the guy that invented that.
He's the guy that
Interesting.
invented that. Yeah. We have them. You see them all the time. I know at malls and everything like that.
Yeah.
They have the rotating billboards. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
comes
mean,
from
they're still in use. So good
still in
job.
use to this day. I think
Yeah.
that's the cool thing.
Very cool.
So, yeah, unfortunately, though, for Morris in 1976, his daughter, Janet, was killed in a motorcycle accident. After her death, many of the family members reported a lot of psychic happenings. I don't know what that all entails, psychic happenings. I mean, we can definitely, our imaginations can go to what that
Right.
might be, seeing, hearing, those types of things. But this led him to join the Society for the Psychical Research himself and the Ghost Club, which I've decided I want to be a member of the Ghost Club too.
Yeah, the Ghost Club.
Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yeah, where's that? How do we sign up
I don't
for
know.
the
It's
Ghost
probably in
Club?
England. Yeah, I just read that and I was like, Ghost Club. I was like, wow, that sounds really cool. Like, I get this picture of like, there's like a clubhouse and you come
Yeah,
and you talk about ghosts and then you have investigations and then you talk about
that's
your.
what it sounds like.
I don't know. That sounds fun to me.
It does
We
sound
can
fun.
maybe we can start our own ghost club, Jamie.
Yeah,
I
Ghost
mean,
Club US version.
yes, exactly. So
Do it.
yeah, he had become so interested in all of this after the passing of his daughter. He decided he wants to learn. He wants to get more involved and figure out what the heck is going on out there. Now he heard what was going on with the Hodgson family, and he went to them and asked if he could help. After visiting the Hodgson family and witnessing and recording as much evidence as he did around the house, he actually went to the Psychical Society to ask for some help. Like he realized everyone was kind of in over their heads. There's
Right.
things flying around, the knocking, and so that's when he met a guy, Lyon Playfair, and the two of them took on the Hodgson family situation. So
So
those
is his name Guy?
his
Or
name
is
is
it?
Guy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if
Yeah.
you were saying a guy,
Oh, a
Leon
guy.
Playfair, or Guy, Leon
Yes.
Playfair. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Guy, Lyon Playfair. Yes, yes. And honestly, those were the two, not really the Warrens, who
Right.
came in and spent time with the family and really were trying to get to the bottom of this. Now, I will tell you, there were lots of investigators because this case was so fascinating and it had hit the news very
Right.
quickly. I had even heard stories of people just kind of walking past the house just to see if they could see anything.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of people come in and investigate. They had so many different types of people from all different walks of life coming in to see, is this real? Let's find out what this could possibly be, right?
Right.
But really, I would say that Morris and Guy were the ones really leading this investigation.
Yeah.
So, I'm
I
sorry.
think I meant to say this earlier, but it's interesting that the mother is named Peggy and the neighbor is also named Peggy.
Yes.
And that the daughter is Janet and that the guy, what's his name?
Yeah, Morris's daughter.
Morris's daughter is also Janet.
Janet,
That's kind of strange to me.
Yes,
But
yes.
anyway,
Popular
just a
name.
side note.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I noticed that as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is.
Well, they ended up working together and getting about 200 hours of audio recordings of the house. And the interesting thing, and I'm going to give some info on where you guys can watch maybe some of, there's been all kinds of adaptations of this case, and the documentary that I recently watched, which is on Apple TV. You can actually see now. Nowadays, when we go in and investigate, we have these little digital recorders, right?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
play it back right on the spot and all kinds of stuff.
Uh-huh.
They had the great big, recorders with the
Right.
reels and
Uh-huh.
everything, and the microphone hookups. So that's what they were dealing with. So this was no light, work. They were needing to carry in all this huge equipment back
Yep.
then. And so ghost hunting has really come a long way.
It has. It has.
There's a lot more gadgets and more convenience when it comes to ghost hunting today. And that's what we can talk about in Ghost Club too. We can talk
Yeah.
about the convenience of ghost hunting today in
That's
Ghost
right.
Club.
Yeah, that's right. That's part of it.
It's going to be part of Ghost Club. So, and in those audio recordings, you can clearly hear knocking. You can hear the furniture turning over
Ugh.
and moving and hitting things. And you can hear the poor children scared.
Right.
And
Yeah.
in the documentary, Morris talked a little bit more about each child, and in particular, he talked about Margaret was probably more sensitive to these things. So poor Margaret was crying a lot. You could hear her
Aw.
because it would
Yeah.
scare her so much, and she would be crying. There's some
That's
photos of
sad.
her so scared. She's got her fingers in her mouth and just
Aw.
witnessing this stuff. Yeah, it's hard, and it's hard for me to believe that it's faked when you can see the
I
fear
know.
and
That's so
hear the fear.
sad.
Yes.
Yes.
And so there was actually a news interview that Morris did where they brought in a news reporter, a journalist came in recording and talking about what's going on in the house. And while that was happening, they were kind of recording, I believe it was in the kids' room, while the kids were laying down. Janet was in her bed. And the news reporter was talking with Morris and said, you stay here? And he said, yeah, I usually make sure like everyone goes to sleep. And he's like, I hang out for about an hour or two afterwards just to see what happens. He's like, I have to go home eventually.
Yeah. Ooh.
Morris probably had one of the most understanding wives
Yeah.
out there,
Sounds
because
like it.
he spent a lot of time over at the Hodgson house. But you can actually see in the news report where a chair that was in the room starts to move
Wow.
on its own, and the camera kind of goes to the news reporter who is witnessing. She's watching this happen, and then you can see her as it's, the camera pans back over and it has moved again. It's
Wow.
sliding, and then all
Ooh.
of a sudden the thing topples over.
Oh, okay. So
And
it's more than just sliding.
yes, so
That's
a lot of overturned furniture that was happening fairly often
yeah,
at
that's
the house. There's
okay.
photographs of sofas. They refer to them as like settees,
Right.
flipped over and moving. I mean, it's a real true poltergeist. Things are moving around the house. Things were breaking. So these things were getting picked up on audio recordings and video recordings. So the other thing that they did was they had set up these cameras that would take pictures like in half-second intervals with movement. They caught movement of pillows. There's one in particular where you can kind of see the pillow move a little bit on, across the bed, then
Ooh.
topple onto the floor, and then it starts moving on the floor. But you can see just the movement with photograph. They don't have as much video. Nowadays,
Right.
we have digital video. It's really easy to do.
Yeah.
And so then it was more film cameras that they were able to see a lot of the stuff moving. But they have photographs of curtains moving, the furniture moving, and even Janet being flung from her bed. There are some very infamous photographs out there of Janet levitating and being thrown from her bed. A couple of major occasions that had happened where she would just be sitting or laying in bed. And keep in mind at this point, the entire family is sleeping in one bedroom. They're so
Right.
scared. They're all
Yeah.
sleeping in one bedroom. So mom has like a cot-like bed in there. The girls are in their bed. Billy's in there somewhere too.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
place.
I can completely relate to that.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah, Jamie knows.
Oh,
And so there, on more than one occasion, Janet would just be sitting in bed or laying in bed, and she would just come flying off of her bed. And
wow.
so the camera was catching these things in second increments. And so I'm going to put those pictures on Instagram. If
Yeah.
you've not seen them, they are super interesting. You know, a lot of people, you know, skeptics will say, you know, well, Janet was jumping from her bed. But again, look at her face in these photographs. She
Yeah.
looks horrified. The mom is right there watching this happen. You can see pictures of Peggy in the pictures watching her child being tossed across the room.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's so scary.
Very scary. There's another one where Janet would actually, for her, it really seemed to be getting focused around her. She was having, I, they almost said she was kind of going into trance like states. She would get into fits of things and they would have trouble getting her to calm down. And so at one point, a doctor came and had to sedate her. So
Oh, wow.
she had enough injected in her to sedate her and put her to sleep. So she would calm down. Then everybody had gone downstairs, but then they heard a huge crash upstairs. They run up to see what happens, and there is Janet laying on top of a dresser, literally, and she's out because she's sedated. She
Wow.
is out.
Okay.
She's like asleep, and she's on top of this dresser. So somehow she had been moved from her bed to the top of
Uh-huh.
the dresser. So I've got photos of that as well.
That's so
She
strange.
goes,
Ugh, creepy.
you know, if she is passed out, it's not like she could get herself and
Yeah.
walk over there, get on top of a dresser, and just
Right.
kind of like fling herself over it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Kind of back to the Warrens a little bit here. They did come for a visit. They were definitely some of the investigators that came to check out the situation, but it is not like how we had thought it to be. They came for probably about a day.
And they just showed up,
And
not uninvited, right?
they were
Yeah.
uninvited. And this is from an interview that Guy Playfair had given shortly before Conjuring 2 had come out. And yeah, he had said they just kind of showed up. And it sounds like this wasn't necessarily uncommon. Like I said, there were people dropping by all the time to see what the heck was
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on in the house. I mean, can you
Yeah.
imagine?
And it doesn't surprise me either that the Warrens would want to be in the middle of it.
Yes. Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. They were definitely, especially in the late 70s, they were names in the paranormal world for sure. I mean, they were writing books, they were doing talk shows, they talked about this type of thing. And so, yeah, they probably were like, we're the Warrens. We can do what we want. We can
They
show up when
just
we want.
roll on in there.
Right? They got their
Yeah.
Raggedy Ann doll in one hand. And
That's right. That's right. You know who we are.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yep, we know who you are. Come on in." And yeah, and according to Guy, he said Ed Warren came up to him and said, "You know, I can help you make a lot of money off this case."
That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So, but that was it. Yeah, the Warrens were there for about a day. They came, check things out. I don't think it was enough to warrant an entire film around them. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. That's crazy that that's what they did, but
Exactly.
I mean, they were the famous ones. So
They
yeah.
were. I guess it would be like Zach Bagans just showing up at your house going,
Right.
"Yep, I heard it's haunted. Here I am."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We're here. Although I'm pretty sure Zach calls in advance. I would like to think that he does. I don't know if anyone just shows up anymore uninvited.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yep. So overall, in this situation, there were 30 witnesses who saw many different incidents that were happening in the house. Some things were not, it wasn't just the furniture moving. There were objects flying around the house, cold breezes people would hear, paranormal whistling, which I think is just whistling.
Okay.
I think
Disembodied whistling.
Disembodied whistling, phantom whistling. I think you could
Oh,
hear whistling around the house, and no one else was doing the whistling. So
okay.
that makes it paranormal.
Interesting. I was
Paranormal
wondering
whistling.
about that. If it was like, you know, human whistling
Right.
or the whistling of a tea kettle,
Right.
like,
Yes.
whistling of a train, like
Yes.
what is it?
So I actually listened to some of the audio, and yeah, it just sounds like someone's whistling, putting their lips together and
Ah,
blowing. Yep. And it just
crazy.
sounds like a human whistling. So
That's
yeah.
creepy.
So
Yeah.
considered paranormal whistling. You not only were people getting hurt, you had, of course, Janet was being just flung all over the place, um, like a rag doll. I mean, so this thing is starting to get physical with human beings. There were pools of water appearing on the floor. Graffiti would show up on the walls, and matches spontaneously igniting. Uh,
Huh.
which is very concerning. It reminds me a lot of like when we discussed Hell House and they had
Right.
3 fires in a week, things
Yeah.
combusting. I mean,
Right.
that is very,
It's
very
so
scary.
scary.
Yes. So there were actually 2 different witnesses that would just walked by the house. These were just people in the neighborhood going for walks that happened to look up at the house because something caught their eye, and it happened to be Janet levitating.
Oh, that's
Physically
so
saw her,
creepy.
yes, just levitating. And one instance where Janet was being she had been pulled in the air and being slammed against the window over and
Ah,
over again. Right.
okay. This is a nope, don't like that moment.
It is a nope, I don't like that moment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that so these are people who have they have no, you know, bet going on here on, there's
Right.
no, yeah, they don't
They're
know.
not gonna get anything out of it.
No,
So,
no, they're
yeah.
just walking by, and these are the types of things that they are seeing. Now, one of the biggest issues that was happening in there that eventually came along was the voice that started coming out or around Janet. One day, while Morris was doing his recording, he asked out loud to hear the spirit, and it started talking to him. And it it seemed to be coming from Janet. However, Janet's mouth would not move. But
Creepy.
it seemed to come from her. Now, what I find even harder is the actual sound of the voice. It is a very raspy, male, deep voice.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a clip I thought we could listen to,
Yeah.
and you can actually kind of hear for yourself and see. Now, one of the biggest things, this was a huge topic for skeptics. They really truly believed, skeptics, that Janet was creating this voice. They felt like she was creating this, that she had somehow learned to throw her voice, and almost do a very ventriloquist type. She learned how to not move her lips and create this voice. So I do want to listen to this because I want people who are watching the show, listening to the show today, I want them to determine. Now, keep in mind, this is a 11, 12-year-old girl.
Right.
Can she create this voice and not move her lips? So we can go ahead and listen now.
Okay.
Let me hear you say my name. Come on, let me hear you say my name. That's not my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris.
Right, that's good. Jack and Joe. I'm 72 years old. I come from Jurong graveyard. And I had right near the church where Rita lived. And all my friends come from there as well. And we all make okay and go to the pub. And then we pick your house. used to live here. And I will do this a lot. And if you don't get anyone else, Mr. Truck and Mr. Playfair.
I want you to tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died. Just before you died and just after you died.
Two weeks before I died, I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage and I fell asleep and I died in a chair in a corner downstairs.
It creeps me out so bad.
Yeah. It's a
it's
very
so-
creepy voice.
And it's so detailed, you know?
Right. Which is incredibly interesting. It is by far the most fascinating thing to me in this
Yeah.
whole case.
Yes.
If it is, I'll tell you what, if this is a hoax, it's one of the best hoaxes out there. To have a
Right.
12-year-old girl
Yeah.
create that voice without moving her mouth,
Uh-huh.
and getting all that information.
Yeah.
If
It's so
is,
creepy.
yeah, if it is not a hoax, it has to be one of the greatest events in paranormal history.
Yes, I agree.
Because that voice, you know, I've been ghost hunting. Jamie has experienced ghost voices, any kind of type of voice phenomenon. You might get little spurts of
Yeah.
something.
Not
you
a complete conversation like that.
I've never known for there to be a complete conversation. I get excited if you can hear a full sentence.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And even that is uncommon. So I think this is why the skeptics are like, this is impossible because it's never really happened before. And I don't know that it's ever happened again. I don't know if they've ever recorded anything so detailed and so clear. And this is just a portion. There are so many conversations they ended up having. And if it was difficult to hear, I apologize. And I'll kind of explain what we heard. So the first clip was the very first time that Morris had actually asked the spirit to speak, and it had started barking. It barked at them. And then he was trying to say, say my name. And he did. He said Morris. The second is where he actually describes who he is and how he passed away. So the voice has identified himself as Bill Wilkins, who used to live in that house. And he described that he had gone blind and then eventually had a hemorrhage and passed away in a chair downstairs. Now, investigators confirmed that a Bill Wilkins did die in that house. It definitely happened. The son of Bill Wilkins actually listened to that, listened to some of the clips, the audio clips, and has said, yes, that's my dad. Like he has said, that's the voice of my father. And so like I said, it seemed the voice was actually coming from Janet. Janet later explains in an interview as Janet as an adult, as she kind of explained how she always felt the voice was kind of coming from behind her. That's how she always explained it. Like she could, like behind her. Now Morris did an experiment in which he placed a microphone in front of Janet one time and then one behind her. And the voice actually picked up better on the microphone that was behind her than the one in front of her.
That's interesting.
Yes. He said that it would definitely, if she was doing it, it would definitely pick up better on the one that was in front of her as opposed to the one behind her. The other fascinating thing is, Morris is asking questions and the voice is replying intelligently. Now, when we say intelligently, that means you are asking a question and the spirit responds exactly to that question.
Right.
It's not
just a regular conversation.
A regular conversation going on. It's, sometimes it's not just somebody, just saying random things or stuff like that. It's, it is actually replying to the question that you're asking. And so, yeah, this was so different from anything like that before because they can actually have a full conversation and it can kind of happen on demand, which is almost, you never hear that happening.
Yeah.
He's
Ugh.
saying, say this, and Bill is doing it. One of the things that happened, and this is also what skeptics don't really care for, is that a lot of times when Bill wanted to speak through Janet, he did not want anybody looking at Janet. So they would make him, they would have to turn around or maybe even be sometimes outside the room. So of
Wow.
course, skeptics are like, oh, see, there you go. You can't even be in the room, or you have to have your back turned. But there were plenty of incidents where people would watch Janet while this was happening and her mouth was still not moving. Janet would almost kind of get into a trance-like state when this would happen, and she doesn't always remember it happening because of that. They actually had brought someone in, who actually did ventriloquism and studied her to see if this was something that she could have done, and they found that it wasn't her.
They thought of everything. I mean,
they really did.
They were like, well, let's see if the skeptics are right. Let's check it out.
Absolutely. And they did. They always welcomed the skeptics to come in. That was the thing. They never turned anybody away who was curious in the case.
Right.
One of the biggest skeptics was someone by the name of Anita Gregory. She was a member of the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of Paranormal, which is a mouthful. So they refer to it as CSICOP. I don't know. I kind of want to call it PsyCop.
Yeah, PsyCop. That's what it looks like.
Right. I'm going to stick with Ghost Club because that is
the Ghost Club.
It rolls off the tongue so much better. She believed that the girls, including Margaret, just kind of wanted attention and that they were faking the incidences. I mean, what are your thoughts? How do you think it is possible for a young girl to create that voice and have it be
like it would take a lot to pull something like that off?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know these kids, but I mean, the ages that you listed, it just doesn't seem like they would be able to pull something off like this.
Right.
Without help,
Right.
I just don't, I don't see how they could have done it. That doesn't mean they didn't figure it out, but it just seems like a lot with the furniture moving and the other poltergeist activity and then the voice. And I just feel like that is a huge hoax to pull off for kids.
I think so too. I do. Adults is one thing.
Right.
But a 12-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl, I just don't know. And, we've talked about this many times before. So many people say, why didn't they just get out? They should have just gotten out if this was an issue. But it was a financial issue.
Yeah.
They were in public housing. This is what they could afford. And as you can tell, they're not making money off this deal. No one's paying them to come into the house. No one's paying them to investigate. I think the biggest perk they got is Morris saw the amount of stress the family was under, and he took them on vacation.
Yeah.
He took them on vacation. And that was about it. They lived in that house until Peggy had passed away. And so it was, they just couldn't afford to get out of there.
Right.
So this is, we talk about this so many times, families like this, and it's a real problem. It's a real problem. Where were they going to go? But I think it also proves that they weren't necessarily trying to create this for any kind of financial gain.
Right.
Because they weren't receiving it. They were definitely not getting it. So after a couple of years with everything going on, Peggy had actually made the difficult decision to actually send Janet away to a psychiatric hospital. Her behavior it was just worsened by everything.
Yeah.
Which is just so heartbreaking to think about.
It is.
I mean, I can't imagine trying to make that decision, and then plus being poor Janet. Let's say for a second this isn't a hoax and this stuff is happening to her, and now she's the one being sent away.
I know. Yeah.
She didn't do anything wrong if that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So
I'd be interested to see what happened while she was in the hospital.
So it did sound like the activity was still happening.
Okay.
It wasn't as ramped, which tells me that, she may have been, the hub.
Like a vessel.
The vessel of it all, right?
Yeah.
And in cases like this, that's not uncommon.
Right.
You can have house hauntings, but sometimes it is one person.
They attach to one person for the most part, I think.
Exactly. And so that it didn't stop anything at the house. So we know it wasn't Janet moving the furniture around because that was still going on.
Gotcha.
However, it wasn't as big. Now, Poltergeist, a lot of people will say, is really kind of, sometimes the energy of kids of a certain age. There's a theory that these children actually kind of give off an amount of energy, and that can cause things to move and jet around.
Right.
And it's usually around that age, like, that 10 to like teenage years. There's so much going on, and sometimes they can have these bursts of energy because, humans, that's what we are. We are just energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll say, younger people, this can cause things to start moving around the house. This is a theory on Poltergeist.
Theory, right?
Yes. And so at one point that was a theory of what was going on. However, with Janet now out of the house and things are still moving around, it's hard to say,
right.
That's what's happening. So what actually caused the Enfield haunting to kind of quiet down at some point? Because around 1979, it did quiet down. The family will say it never actually went away, but it didn't get as bad anymore. Now, Janet, in an interview, she believed that it was a priest. When he came in 1978, once he gave a blessing to the house, she said she noticed things kind of calming down after that. That's what she believes happened. But there were still, Peggy was still hearing voices and noises around the house. Now, their younger brother, Billy, lived with their mom until she had passed away. And he said that there was always a feeling of someone watching them. He just always kind of felt like no matter what, there was someone kind of like always kind of watching. So he feels like it never officially went away. Is this a hoax? Now, Janet has admitted that some of the stuff they did, they were fooling around.
Okay.
They just wanted to see if Mr. Gross was paying attention.
Huh.
So she had told ITV in a news interview, and this is in 1980, so this is just a couple years, so she's still like a teenager. She said, "Oh yeah, once or twice we faked things just to see if Mr. Gross and Mr. Playfair would catch us." And she said they always did.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can see that. Like maybe trying to test them.
Sure.
I don't know if that means that they, they faked, all of
An entire
it.
haunting.
Right. I mean, because what are they going to do? They're going to have, wires to make the stuff fly around. And, they're going to set up a harness with invisible lines to make her levitate. Like, how are kids going to pull that off? Like that,
Right. And that's what would have to have been done.
Right.
Because there were so many witnesses.
Right.
To this.
I mean, that's like a movie set production,
Right. Absolutely.
I don't think they had the budget for that.
No, I don't think they did. No.
From what I read about this family.
No, that's the thing. And it would be a group effort.
Right.
It would have to be a group effort to really get that going.
Yeah, maybe the Warrens funded it.
Yeah, maybe they did. I think if the Warrens funded that hoax, then I think they would have been there a little bit more in front of the cameras if possible.
Oh yeah, 100%. They want to be in the limelight.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yes. Now, there was an article published the year before the release of The Conjuring 2, and Janet had actually said that roughly 2% of the paranormal activity had been faked.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's admirable that she admitted, to that. But I get that why skeptics would jump all over that, though.
Of course. They're going to be like, see, we told you, Yeah. So there was also another interview done in 1980 with both girls, both Janet and Margaret. And Janet is asked how she feels to be haunted by a poltergeist. And she said, "It's not haunted. Janet said this smiling, and Margaret smiles in astonishment, is how they put it,
Huh.
as if Janet had just given up the secret. And so apparently Margaret leans over to Janet and tells her to shut up.
Oh.
Yeah. Janet later said she didn't feel that the poltergeist was evil. And so they feel like that, so skeptics are saying, well, that means it just wasn't haunted if you don't think it's evil.
Huh. Okay.
So that's an interesting conversation to have, but you have to keep in mind in 1980 they are still young girls.
Right.
So I don't know what that conversation was necessarily about.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes, in the documentary that I just watched, the one that's on Apple TV, they interview both Margaret and Janet as adults. So you'll get their take on it, and they do very much believe, even now, that this was real, this really happened. So I don't know what that conversation was about in that interview, but I felt like it was definitely needed sharing. Because, I want to be even about this. I don't want to go in and be like, this definitely happened. I'm just having a hard time believing and seeing how a couple of kids could pull this off for like 2 years.
I know, that's crazy to me. Yeah. It's
That's
just
a lot of
so
time.
much. It's just so much production. It's like nonstop.
It would be nonstop. They would have to be prepared for when people came over.
Right.
I remember being 12. I would have gotten bored after a while.
There's no way I would have been that savvy as a 10 or 12-year-old to trick 40 plus people into believe. I mean, we've all tried to prank people and, scare people and stuff like that, but
right.
Nothing like this. Like,
No.
There's no way I would have been able to pull off something like that at that age. There's no way.
Able to at all.
Yeah.
And you could see my curtains moving behind me as well, but it was not Poltergeist. It was just Frank the cat.
Oh, okay.
I could see in the back, like, my curtains are going like this.
If Frank the cat starts talking, though, we're gonna
then we got in trouble.
revisit that.
Like, my name isn't Frank, it's Bill, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
So a lot of people are wondering what happened to the family. Where are they at today? What happened after the haunting kind of came and went a little for the most part. So Janet actually got married and left home at 16.
Oh, wow.
Yes, quite young. And unfortunately, her brother Johnny, the one that was in the children's home, he passed away. He got cancer and passed away at 14.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's just awful. The family claimed of something paranormal in the house until Peggy passed away. And then she had passed away. She also got cancer, and she died in 2003. After she passed away, they had to give up the home, and so it went to another family, to another young mother who had 4 boys. And just like Billy had said, the mom, her name was Claire Bennett. Claire claims that she felt as if someone was watching her while she lived there. During the night, her children would get woken up by voices coming from downstairs. After that, she learned about the reports of the poltergeist. So she moved in there and claiming they didn't know.
Wow.
Didn't know what had gone in that house. I mean, at this point, let's see, 2003. I mean, we're talking 20 some years had passed, right?
Yeah.
So that's certainly possible. The story dies down. She may not have known where she was at. And so one night, one of her sons woke up and saw a man enter the room. And the next day, they picked up and left.
I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I mean, good for them that they're able to, though.
Exactly.
A lot of people can't just pick up and leave like that. So
no, exactly. That's the thing. So they were there for about 2 months, just 2 months with the activity that was going on there, and they were able to get out. Now that was, and even 2003, that's, 20 plus years now, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly what's going on in the house currently. We can only imagine what could be happening. I would love to hear from the people who live there, right?
Yeah.
And see what could be happening. Now, I will also say, as far as like Claire living there too and coming and going, she didn't do this for money or any kind of thing. They got the heck out, right?
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not going to stick around to do anything. So that's what makes me believe that what her and her boys experienced was real.
Right.
Because if she knew where she was moving into, some people might see dollar signs there and be like, hey, let's, but that wasn't the case. They experienced stuff and they were like, I'm not doing this. And they got out. So
Was there so how much time was in between when Peggy's family left and Claire's family
Moved in.
moved in, and what were there people in between that we don't know if
No,
they
they
had
were
experience?
they were the first
next.
family.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Claire and her boys were the first family to move in there after.
Wow.
Peggy
Okay.
and her family had lived there, and they had, Peggy and her family lived there for a
Yeah.
long time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then, like I said, after that, I haven't heard anything more necessarily,
Yeah.
which is a little surprising because since then, obviously, The Conjuring 2 has come out.
Right.
I would be super curious, and who knows? Maybe the people living there now are not experiencing anything.
Or maybe it's empty. Maybe it's empty. I don't know.
Could be empty too. So,
Yeah.
I would love to learn and find out if anybody knows what's going on there. I could not find anything on that. So, but there have been a lot of adaptations and retelling of this story because hoax or not hoax, this is a fascinating story.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, I think it's absolutely interesting. Obviously, The Conjuring 2 was made, which does take some liberties with some things. I will tell you, though, a lot of the events that happened in the movie really did happen in real life. So I will give it to them for that. It just wasn't the Warrens that were there.
Right. Warrens have to be in everything.
They have to be in everything. So in 2015, there was a TV drama they actually made called The Enfield Haunting. I believe I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. I loved him. He was in the show Succession. The guy who was married to the daughter of the family. I can't think of his name. I think he's a fantastic
I'm so bad
actor.
with names.
I should know this, and I don't remember. I just love him, but he was in that made for TV drama that they did, and he actually played Guy Playfair.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of cool. Before Succession, and so, or maybe around Succession. I'm trying to remember when that would have started. I think it was before Succession. 2015. Succession was after that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then of course the Enfield Poltergeist is the name of the documentary that I recently saw. It was done in 2023. You can find that on Apple TV. It's a 4-part documentary. I find it fascinating. You can actually hear more recordings. Also, if you go on YouTube, you can pick up a lot of recordings if you want to hear more of what Bill says. I mean, some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth is kind of inappropriate. I just didn't say kind of. It's very inappropriate.
Oh,
and so,
wow.
And he'll swear and he will call names. At one point, Anita, the skeptic who had come from the society, he was calling her all kinds of filthy names.
Wow.
And so that also kind of factors in for me because at 12 years old, one, I would have never fathomed to say the things that came out of whoever's mouth.
Yeah.
And two, if I had, my mother would have, a bar of soap would have been in my
right. For sure.
And so it wouldn't have even occurred to me to use those words that he does. And he calls a lot of people, a lot of filthy names. Bill, I should say, really.
Yeah.
Bill, the voice that
right.
comes out, or near Janet. So that kind of gets me as well. They also came out with a play called The Enfield Haunting, which actually had the actress Catherine Tate in it. And I know Catherine Tate from The Office because we're big Office fans. She played Nellie. She's also in Doctor Who. And so that actually opened in London a couple years ago. So I think that would
interesting.
I would have loved to have seen something like that stage play on that. That would have been kind of neat. And I even read an interview with the director of the play. He said he just kind of it takes place in one night, but he kind of merged some of the events into one night just so people could get a feel of what was going on.
Yeah, he has to do it in 2 hours.
Of course, exactly.
Captivate an audience. So
exactly. So that's totally understandable. And he said it all stemmed from a meeting. Him and Guy Playfair had the same agent. And he met Guy, and Guy actually took him, brought him to his house one day. They became friends, took him to his house, let him listen to some of the recordings they had, and he just became super interested in it. And wrote this play.
That's interesting.
And one more little fun fact I kind of want to add, and The Conjuring 2 does touch on this. I found it interesting because the documentary I watched did not touch on this, but I have to say it. So Janet does admit that her and Margaret were using a Ouija board. Prior to the events.
Damn Ouija boards.
So there you have it. The old Ouija board.
Yeah.
Starting
Trouble,
problems.
trouble, trouble.
Yes. Which to me kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
The
it
Ouija
does.
board, you get on the Ouija board, you're inviting things to talk to you and do
Yep.
things. And you're just kids. I mean, my goodness, you're just kids messing
Yeah,
around with
it looks like
something.
a game. It looks like a game. So
They sold it on the game shows,
yeah.
and so so they were just kind of messing around with it. And I think that could have been a good opportunity then to kind of bring Bill out of whatever he was in, and then the activity started happening. Furniture moving,
Right.
knocking. It starts slow, right? It always tends
Yeah.
to start slow and it will ramp up. But
Hmm.
yeah, so there was a Ouija board involved. I wasn't sure when I saw The Conjuring 2, I went back and watched again. I thought, boy, was that, because they didn't mention it in the documentary, and I thought, oh, was that something that was kind of, made up, a Hollywood
Right.
drama added in? But no, I after some research that they did say, yes, we were playing with a Ouija board before
Oh.
this all began. So that could explain a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Darn old Ouija board.
Darn Ouija board.
Yep.
Stay
But yeah.
away. Keep that
Yes.
thing locked up, Jen.
It's still in the closet. Mine is
Okay.
still in the closet.
Okay. If you start getting knocking coming out of the closet, you know.
Well, technically here at the house, yes, we've had knocking here at the house. Yeah, we've had the knocking. It's usually like it's a two knock, but we have not experienced it in a while. I have not had. I'm saying this now, and as soon as I say it out loud, that stuff will start happening. But we've talked about this. There's no timeline. It's not consistent.
Right.
It's not happening all the time. But there are things that go on in the house that are unexplainable to me. Some of the things I can explain right away. However, there are some things I just cannot explain. There's things I've seen I can't unsee.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So this is what happened to the poor family. Like, I don't feel like I'm in a situation where I have to flee. So I feel okay,
Right.
And we don't use the Ouija board. It just stays hidden in my closet.
Yes.
But I can't get rid of it. It's an antique.
Oh, you say that now. Just keep it locked up. That's all I ask.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that is my story today of the Enfield Poltergeist.
Very good. Very
I think
interesting.
it's a very interesting story. Yeah. So I would love, I think we want to hear comments on this one for sure. Like, what are your thoughts? Is this real? Is it not real? Is it possible for a 12-year-old girl to learn to throw her voice, to learn?
Not just that, but make furniture move and make herself levitate and all this stuff.
Yes. Can those things happen? We want to hear. We want to know. Has anyone else experienced themselves anything like this? What I would love to know, has anyone experienced the type of conversation that was going on in the recordings between Morris and everybody with Bill? That to me, like I said, if this is real, it has to go down in history as one of the most amazing paranormal incidents of our time.
100%. It was so creepy.
Yes.
It's hard to shake that voice, hearing that voice. It's very creepy.
So deep and raspy.
It is.
Yeah.
It just goes right through you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's British. Like, you can hear the
British
accent. I'm not saying that adds to the creepiness. I'm just saying, like, it's there,
Yeah.
It's so detailed. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's just interesting to me. So yeah. So that is our show for today. Make sure to join us next week. We will have another fun and fascinating show for you. I've noticed fascinating is my new word. So I'll try to.
Fascinating is a good word.
I'll try and tone it down. I know we've got words that can become drinking games if you listen to us too much.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking someone had commented that we say yeah a lot. Yeah. And so I've been conscious of that, but I think I've replaced it with right. I think I said right 100 times this episode. Yes. So if anybody gets a count on how many times I said right, let me know, because I feel like it's there. A lot.
I've been trying to replace the yas. I'm sure they're there, and I think I just went from yeah to yes.
Yeah. I mean, right.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
It's all right. They're filler words. Yeah. Keep the conversation moving. I'm sticking with it.
So yeah, fascinating is another one I'm going to throw in there. I find everything we talk about fascinating.
It is,
So
though. It is
it is.
fascinating.
I think it is. I think it's pretty super cool. So we're going to keep talking
Yes.
about it. We'll be back next week with another episode. If you have a story that you would like to share with us, we would love that. You can reach us at the Unexplained Archives 2025 at gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. I'm going to have lots of pictures this week so you can kind of see for yourselves, you know, especially the levitation ones. It's
Yes.
pretty wild. So be sure to follow us at Instagram. We are Unexplained Archives 25, and you can listen to us on Spotify, on iHeartRadio now. We are on Amazon. You can continue if you're watching on YouTube. We love it. Oh, and big news. We hit
Yes.
500. Yeah,
I
big
can't believe
news.
it. Yes.
Yeah, we should have started the show off with
We
this
should
one.
have. We should have.
We have over 500 subscribers now.
So exciting. So
Very, very
exciting.
So thank you so much to everyone who is now subscribed. We hope to keep them coming. Make sure if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We would love that. Any likes and comments, we are here for it. So thank you so, so much.
Yes. Thank you. See you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.